Hello Tacticians! Welcome to the 1.26 installment of Let's Listen to Karen rumble on about what's new and important in this major update. Taking the update news article more or less from the top, the Tacticus API thingy got more or less officially launched, and it's something for the more tech-savvy kids among us, such as the ones from Tacticus Planner and Ezekiel. Which reminds me, does anybody know how to unlink oneself from Ezekiel? I haven't found a command for that in its help page, and I firmly believe that it should exist, as any service you subscribe to should also allow for an easy unsubscription. More importantly, Dante, Dante, Dante. As usual, I am avoiding the datamind leaks and his Tacticus wiki page, but I'm definitely stoked for him and am looking for his legendary release event in the next Battle Pass season. To help us prepare for Dante's event, we'll get another Training Rush event combined with a Blessed Requisition event featuring Ahriman, Thaumachus, Nicodemus, Mataneo, Lucian, who are all good choices for a banner event, as they are either not obtainable from a campaign or take a longer time to grind out there. And give us scraps for some reason, because, well, I mean, he is the daily login hero, so why? Speaking of the next Battle Pass season, this one will be dedicated to Arjak the Space Wolf, which is good because it makes him available to players who missed his HRE for money! The only reasons you would currently want him are Faction TA, being a collector, and sad arjacking off in a corner, so my advice is pass! This season's hero release event is that of Cygax, the 5th AdMech. We have seen him in the AdMech campaign event, as well as in the Rodbone Survival, and while I haven't really looked into him, I think he may have some potential for a multi-hit raid team with Calgar, Eldrion and Thaddeus because of his heavy weapon trait, but he'll be hindered there by his low movement. In AdMech teams, you will probably want Shossel, Galgords, or maybe even Eldrion still, instead of Cygax. Is what I think anyway. Another new addition to the game is a new machine of war, the Plague Burst Crawler, obtainable from Incursions starting this season. Since I have all the other machines of war already, I know what I'll be getting this time. And apparently Snowprint has listened to us complaining about the Incursion being unfun and grindy, and made some changes to it. Now there will only be 7 tickets per season, and the rewards will be increased hopefully correspondingly, and we no longer need to progress up the difficulty ladder, but can instead launch any tier right off the bat, which I think is a positive change. Additionally, the new Incursions will have a branching path to the end, presumably somewhat similar to the AdMech campaign event, which might make them slightly more interesting and rewarding. Speaking of campaign events, the AdMech one will have some of its stages made slightly easier, or as I would put it after running one of them 18 times to max it out, less bullshit! And will have the Extremis mode rewards increased, which is a good thing. Although now I will have to figure out which stages got nerfed so that I can rerun them for my guides. Ugh. Next, we have some tournament arena changes, of which I will only mention the one I myself had suggested a long time ago. Because if I don't toot my horn, nobody will, and I also want my horn tooted. It will be extended by 8 hours, during which tickets no longer regenerate, so that people in more time zones can use all their tickets and properly compete for ranking in this very fun mode. And finally, the quest events for the Arjak Battle Pass season are going to be Isaac with Genestealers, Tyranids and Ultramarines, and Thoriad with all Imperials. Very much looking forward to trying to beat those with mostly the Ultramarines and Vindicta, as usual. I'll gloss over the main balancing part, because by now everyone knows that the three most dominant raid heroes, Ragnar, Eldryon and Exeter Row, got nerfed a little. To make other compositions less undesirable, I managed to make a comparison of the old and the new Ragnar Alpha Strike on this season's Legendary 5 Magnus, and it should be on screen now. The direct change seems marginal, but Eldryon not buffing Kalgar's active made clearing the minions impossible for me until I spent more badges on it. Oh well. Still, I do think that Snowprint finally caving in and nerfing those heroes is good for the game, and it also teaches us a valuable lesson of not spending so much money on pixels in mobile games to try and pay to win! What deserves mentioning are the changes to the heal and repair mechanics, which now remove more debuffs, which I suspect is mostly aimed at PvP, making healers less undesirable in the current one-shot based TA environment. Please pay special attention to the new classification of Isabella's, Nicodemus's and Thoth's passive healing as regeneration, which does not remove debuffs, so Thoth can now be killed by a Neurothrope. And the booster items will now drop less often compared to other equip items. I hope everyone is as well stocked up on block boosters as I am. Finally, some bugs have been fixed, and I think these are the major ones. The second most important one is Mataneo now functionally having movement of 5 for his active ability, which theoretically means he won't automatically benefit from high ground if there's any next to his primary target, but that's about it. The most important one is Shosil finally learning the lesson about Tau and melee combat, and he now no longer stays in melee when engaged and will instead dodge, duck, dip, dive and dodge to call in another drone, making him that much nastier in the arena and in the Tsonji Incursion. Again, because that's how he used to work. And lastly, Celestine's active has been, hopefully, clarified. The TLDR is that Eldryon and Ragnar don't buff it, Kalandis shouldn't counter it, Jäger should counter it, and Ulf should only punish it if the initial use is from a hex next to him. Though, we will see about that. Oh right, and before I forget, the final Genestealer's Heroes Premium Avatar and Hero Frame are now visible in the game, and it's gonna be a Jad, unlockable at Epic, so I'm pretty confident they're going to be released as the next premium Battle Pass hero, possibly with a survival or infested TA or some similar event. Oh well. And I think that's all I wanted to say about update 1.26, so thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the battlefields, Tactician.